Am I the idiot for letting my mom go nuclear on her sister's family and causing collateral damage? Important context. I'm getting married this summer. Only invited people both me and my fiancé know well. There are no plus ones and only named invitees. So some new partners aren't invited, but long-standing ones we know well are. My male cousin took offense to this. He has been with his gal just over 6 months. We have never met her. I grew up with this cousin and was quite close, though we don't see each other that often now due to job demands. He told his mom, my auntie, when he received the invite, tell her I'm not going at Fizzant. My auntie told my mom, who told me. I reached out to him after some Reddit advice asking to talk, got left on read. Texted a few days later, just let me know when works for you as a reminder, left on read. When it became clear I wasn't gonna get a response, I texted, I'm really sorry if your feelings have been hurt. I'd love us to be able to talk about it and come to an understanding. Nothing, so I left it. So last week, the RSVP deadline approached. This cousin is one of 6 older bro and sis, 1 younger sis, who is a bridesmaid aged 15 and number twin bras. I sent his older brother again, a cousin I've been really close with, a gentle reminder to worst. He replied straight away saying, oh yeah. I then asked if his bro was Okas, hadn't heard from him. Then, this cousin launches into a whole rant about how he is totally on his brother's side. I've really upset him, that if his brother isn't going, neither is he and his gaff of 10 years. I was distraught. Sent screenshots to my mom, who was trying to calm me down, and said forget about it. If they don't want to come, that's on them. Then I started thinking, will older sis come? She was the only one on that side of the farm to RSVP so far and said yes. So again, I sent a text saying hi, just wanted to double check. I've heard cousin A and B aren't coming because we can't invite cousins GF. As you've already RSVP'd, I just wanted to check you're coming even if they aren't. To which I got a similarly upsetting reply about how horrible I'd been not inviting her. She's totally on her bro's side, but still wanted to come to see her little sis be a bridesmaid. I'd kept it together all day, but I erupted in tears. Sent screenshots to my mom, who replied saying she is absolutely raging and is uninviting the entire lot of them and not to engage with them. The older female cousin texted my mom to grow up. I got sent home from work on compassionate leave, a mess. My dad picked me up. So here's where I take the MBTA. My female 15 cousin, who has no involvement, will now have been told from her mom she's not a bridesmaid, not going, and I feel so bad. I love her and she's done nothing wrong. She was excited to be one. I was thinking about reaching out to say, as far as I'm concerned, she can still be one. But in truth, I don't think her mom would let her anymore, and it just feels like completely unfair collateral damage. But this is really hanging over me. Am I the idiot? Edit number 1. So everyone seems to be passing judgment on whether or not I was wrong to not invite my cousin's girlfriend. Which was not the point of the post. If you would desperately like to pass judgment on that, please see my previous Am I the Idiot post and go crazy. I'm really just wondering what Reddit thinks about the situation with my little cousin. Edit number 2. I messaged my cousin and I don't know if I feel better or worse. I just feel apprehensive. I told her any choice is absolutely ok, and she doesn't even have to reply to me if she doesn't want to. I told my mom, and she thinks I shouldn't be contacting any of them, including her as she's a child, but it's been playing on my mind all week. My mom said she knows how this works and it's never straightforward, so as advised, I don't reply to any messages from any of them and don't reach out. But I felt so bad about my little cousin. You're the idiot. And with the level of emotions you've injected into this, I feel sorry for your future husband. You knew exactly what you were doing sending those screenshots to your mother, and you chose short-term emotional gratification, getting to feel like you won because they're uninvited from the most beautiful day in wedding history, over long-term emotional stability. You're the idiot. There has to be more than just your cousin getting mad at you and is not talking to you. Your mother must have been stirring up the pot without you even knowing, and you allow that to happen. Your mother disinvites all of your cousins, and you still want your 15-year-old cousin to come. Do you think her mother is going to be okay with her 15-year-old daughter coming to a wedding she's not invited to? Was she wrong to shortlist her wedding? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for telling my wife's best friend to stop telling our kid he's their uncle? Background. Me and my wife have a 3-year-old Tommy. My wife has a friend named Stevie. She's known him since high school, and they are very good friends. I have 3 brothers. My wife has 1 sister. Stevie means well, but he's never been good with boundaries. He lives nearby, so sometimes we'll pop in unannounced. Before anyone insinuates anything, he's gay. There's nothing romantic between them. Most of the time he's alright around Tommy, but something that really grinds my gears is that lately he's been calling himself Uncle Stevie to Tommy and uses that word all the time. We're trying to teach Tommy what words mean in family relationships. Since he has 3 bio-uncles and Isiel's husband, as an uncle I've asked him to stop that, so he learns what uncle means. My wife agrees and has asked him to stop many times, including a pretty intense argument about it. Probably more about his undermining her/us than the word, but she hates it too. Oseo can go right back to it. I don't care if he wants a nickname, but we are trying to teach our kid vocabulary, and it's confusing him. My wife agrees and has asked him to stop repeatedly, but when he doesn't listen, she just says whatever. Then the next time he'll come over, the whole thing starts again. Yesterday he came over unannounced again and did the same thing, and we kind of got into it. My wife says I'm overreacting, and even though it bothers her too, maybe I should just get over it. Maybe she's right, but it really annoys me, admittedly more than it probably should. Am I just being an odd here? Lots of people are commenting about how common it is to call family friends uncle/aunt. I have no problem if other people want to do that for their families. My wife and I grew up where we only use those terms for actual family members, and we have chosen that's how we want to raise our kid. I have nothing against how other people choose to raise theirs, but this is a decision we made together. You're the idiot. I work with young children, and obviously teaching them these words is important. But I think your reasons for telling this person not to call themselves uncle are stupid. Your 3-year-old will come to understand there are nuances to the words we have assigned to different family members. My mom's best friend was always called my aunt as a young child, and surprise, surprise, I still know what an aunt technically is. Not the idiot. Lots of people refer to close family friends as aunt or uncle. Yes, it can be confusing to young children, but they figure it out before they would be asked to draw a family tree at school. That said, it should be the parents that confer the nickname, not the friend. Especially if that friend has been asked to stop, but then continues. It is a reasonable boundary if both parents agree. But it sounds like your wife is less firm on this, so it may be a spouse issue, not a friend issue. Is it weird to call a non-family member aunt or uncle? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for asking stepdaughter to move out? This is an ongoing issue going on in my home. I am female 33 and am currently pregnant with my first child. I live in a 2-bedroom home with my husband and stepdaughter, 23-year-old female, stepdaughter, and I get along fine. No big issues, but we also are not super close. Now that the baby is coming, we need more space. Unfortunately, we can't afford a new home. I brought up my husband asking stepdaughter to move out. My reasoning is that we really need her room for the new baby, and she is an adult with a full-time job, so it is time for her to be on her own anyway. My husband agreed, and we brought it up to her at dinner one night. We told her we would help with her first 2 months' rent. I told her it would be fun, and I could go shopping, and I will help her decorate her new apartment. We tried to be as gentle as we could, but she was very quiet. Privately, she told my husband that even though she has a full-time job, she cannot afford to live on her own. My husband told her she did not need to move out, so now we are scrambling trying to find space for a new baby. The other day I was home alone with stepdaughter and tried to talk to her about it again. I offered to help her find a roommate, and she snapped on me. She snapped on me and told me to just leave her alone and locked herself in her room. When my husband got home from work, he was mad at me and told me to leave her alone and not bring it up anymore. Things have been awkward and uncomfortable since making my pregnancy very stressful. She is 23, old enough to be on her own. She has a job, and we are willing to help her. We need space for our baby. I do not see how I am in the wrong here. You're the idiot. You're barely a decade older than your stepdaughter. Leave her parenting to her actual parents. Secondly, yes, she's behaving badly towards you. You're trying to kick her out of her home. Thirdly, have you any idea of the economic fuckery going on in the world today? Completely unsurprising that a full-time job cannot cover expenses. Not the idiot. She is 23 and perfectly capable of living by herself, even more with the help you offered. Finding a roommate sounds like a reasonable solution, but honestly, it should be your husband's job to make that happen before your baby arrives. Is it wrong to kick her out? Let me know in the comments. Now, would I be the idiot if I went to my mom's wedding knowing it means my brother won't attend? I'm male 24. I'm estranged from my brother, male 20, for reasons that are my fault. Extended bullying on my end when we were kids. He went no contact with me when I moved out for college, and in those years without contact, I realized how wrong my behavior was and started therapy. I've since expressed my remorse and desire to make amends to my brother, but he's declined any further contact. For family events in the years since he went no contact with me, we've sort of traded off. He'll go to one thing, I'll go to the next. But my mom is getting remarried in the fall, and obviously, she wants us both to be there. I've told my mom that I'll do whatever I can to make it possible for both of us to be there. If he doesn't want to talk to me at the event, I'll do my best to make myself scarce when he's around. But it's looking increasingly like my brother will choose not to attend if I'm there. My therapist wants me to stand my ground and go anyway, but I'm feeling really guilty about it, especially since the estrangement is entirely my fault. My brother has good reasons for not wanting to see me. I'm remorseful now, but for many years in our childhood, I treated him terribly. I feel like choosing to go is sending him the message that I'm more important to the family than he is. You're the idiot. For the bullying alone, and depending on the type of bullying, that's how much of an ah. Without the bullying history, this would be an easy choice. It's Mom's wedding. Mom wants both of you there. You can't both be there if you don't attend, so obviously you attend. However, it's your brother's trauma. You might not be able to attend if you're there. Then again, we don't know the extent of the bullying or how old you were as kids when it happened, and if he's punishing you for normal sibling stupidity. You're the idiot. Your actions have consequences. It does not matter that you want to make amends. He doesn't. You bullied him for an extensive amount of time. You knew what you were doing, and yet you didn't stop. It took you leaving for college for him to have any sort of respite from your harassment. Should the brother skip the wedding? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for no longer accepting calls from the previous owner of my house? My boyfriend and I bought our first home from an elderly couple in January of 2022. Initially, I kept in contact with one of them, let's call her Barb, in the event that we might receive some of their mail or something. Contact was very occasional and was always something along the lines of asking if I received a package of hers or that she wanted to mail us a key that she found that went to the lock on our shed. Months after we moved in, around early October, we received some dining chairs in a box addressed to Barb. A day or two later, a repeat of the exact same shipment arrived. I attempted to contact Barb, but my calls would not go through. A few weeks later, I came home from work and my BF, who frequently gets home before me, told me that he was starting to feel guilty about the situation and asked me to follow him to our garage. Apparently, packages containing furniture and decor had been coming regularly for weeks, and we now had a garage full of boxes that were not addressed to us. My boyfriend had been storing the boxes and assuming the shipments would stop, but they continued. We doubled down and tried harder to contact Barb with the help of other neighbors. We finally got in touch with her and she explained that she had lost her phone, and that was why I was unable to contact her for some time. I explained the situation to her, and she gave me permission to open some of the items so I could describe them to her. She then told me that she had not ordered any of the items. It turns out that prior to moving, Barb had a friend of hers help her order furniture for her new home as she can't see well and was having trouble navigating the furniture website. This friend used her own computer to order Barb's things as a favor. I immediately became concerned that Barb was being robbed, and I urged her to contact her bank first and then her friend second. Barb let me know days later that the charges were not fraudulent. It was a simple case of forgetting to change the shipping address, and the friend wanted to set up a time to come pick up her furniture from me. I explained that myself and my BF work a lot, and I wanted to set up a time when I wouldn't be home alone. I don't know this person, and I couldn't lift half of the furniture by myself to move it anyway. I began receiving calls from Barb and her friend day and night, asking me to find the time to let them collect the items. After a few weeks, my BF and I finally had a weekend off together. I messaged both Barb and her friend with a date and time, and received no reply from either person. By the first of the year, still nothing. I began receiving calls again at the end of January, after we had already gotten rid of most of the items since we had not heard back. I have not been answering the calls. It has been over a year that we have lived here, and several months since we received the furniture. Am I the idiot here? Edit. I was not home when any of the items were delivered. I work long hours. I waited 3 months prior to getting rid of the stuff with no contact from Barb or her non-elderly friend. I did not have an address for either individual. The much younger friend is the actual owner and order of the items, not the elderly woman. She failed to change the shipping address after ordering items of her own months after she helped Barb order furniture. The elderly woman was not out any money because of this, but her friend it is, and I understand that makes me an idiot. Additionally, I did not sell any of the items. I gave some away and threw away others. Last, Barb is the one who has called me twice this month. I have not heard anything from the friend who is the actual owner of the items. You're the idiot. Based on what you wrote, they wanted their items, and it sounds like you made it next to impossible to pick them up except one brief weekend. When they immediately didn't reply, you disposed of everything. You're the idiot. This sounds suspicious. Why did your BF keep packages that don't belong to y'all? Why didn't you know about it? Why was he feeling guilty? Why show concern about her possibly being robbed by a friend, but yet turn around and do almost that, after agreeing to an exchange? So many holes in this story. I have a lot of questions and a bad feeling. Am I the idiot for wanting to buy something for myself, but not my wife? Important context: my wife, female 28, and I, male 30, have been married for 6 years. I've always been the breadwinner while she hasn't worked in 3 years. The company she worked at went bankrupt, and then COVID made it hard for her to get a job in her field, so she became a housewife, then a stay-at-home mom since our first kid 1 year ago. She's a great stay-at-home mom and does a lot of the childcare. I like to feed and play with our kid at night, but she does all the care while I'm at work. We have a joint account where everything for the house, cars, etc. gets paid from. She has her own account as well, and I have one too that I just use as a savings account. Half my earnings go to the joint account and half to the savings account. I give my wife $100 a week for her personal account for helping around the house and with our kid. But if she needs something that's shared for the house or gas money, that comes from the joint account. We also go shopping weekly for groceries, and all that comes from the joint account too. She has access to all the money, but I don't let her spend too much, so that's why she gets an allowance. She usually just uses her personal money for clothes. Last week, she bought a new pair of expensive boots. My wife also has credit card debt that I wasn't involved in, but I'm hoping to pay off since she obviously doesn't work right now. This month, I got a bonus from work and used it to pay off her debt completely. It was about $10. I also wanted to buy myself a £5 and asked my wife if that was okay, since I was trying to be polite and make joint decisions with her. She told me, "Well then, do I get to buy something too?" I was really confused because I just paid off her entire debt recently, and she bought boots last week from the allowance I gave her. She told me it wasn't fair if I get to buy something and she doesn't, but I said I never buy stuff like that. She said I spend money on food all the time, so it evens out, but I don't spend that much. Maybe like $5 a day for lunch at work. I ended up telling her to just forget about it. I didn't need to buy the £5, but now she's telling me I'm an idiot because I would rather make both of us miserable than buy her something. But I just didn't want to spend $1,000 instead of $500 when I just paid $10 on her debt, so I changed my mind. I can see how she doesn't see paying off debt as a treat, but it was still a lot of money, and she also buys fun things all the time with her allowance while I put my extra money into the savings account. I don't think she likes that I save more than I let us spend because she likes to buy stuff all the time. Her sister is also a stay-at-home mom, and her sister's husband always remarks how he can't afford all the new clothes she wants to get, so I think this is just some kind of spoiled behavior that their parents taught them. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. However, you should put aside $100 for yourself each month for your own needs. Basically, doing the same thing as you do for her. This way you can buy the things you need without having to ask. That being said, your wife's attitude bothers me. She is taking you for granted now. If my husband paid off my debt, I believe that I would be the one suggesting that he get himself something nice. Not the idiot. You just paid off $10,000 of her debt. That's a huge amount of money. If you didn't have to pay that off, she definitely would have gotten something as well. You just did something that is extremely generous on her behalf. Instead of bitching about wanting something too, she should be thanking you. Buy yourself your £5. Do it. If you don't buy things for yourself often, then get yourself a little treat. Is he holding money over his wife's head? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for not wanting officially adopting my daughter? This is long and messy. In high school, I had two best friends. Mark, who passed away in May, who is 32. I, male 30, got kicked out of the house when I turned 16. Mark's family took me in and became like my adopted parents. Mark and May started dating when they were juniors in high school. After they graduated, Mark joined the military. During his first leave, May became pregnant. Shortly after his return to service, Mark passed away. We were devastated. She at the time was staying with Mark's parents, and I was still living there. I took her to all of her appointments, helped her through her pregnancy. They put Mark's name on the birth certificate. By this time, I had graduated early and was looking to go to local college. I became busy with school, but helped any time I could. 3 years later, I graduated and got a good job in my own place. May moved in with me with her now 3 years old daughter Alice. Alice started calling me Dada. We tried to persuade her not to do that, but we failed. A year of us living together, I started having real feelings for May. I talked to Mark's parents, and they gave me the green light. Nothing happened between us up to this point. 2 years later, we married. 1 year after that, she gave birth to our daughter Jenny. Yesterday was Alice's 12th birthday. It was just me, May, Alice, Jenny, and Mark's parents. We have told her about Mark throughout the years, and she knows that he is really her dad. When Alice finished opening her presents, she pulled the last one out and handed it to me. I opened it, and it was adoption papers. At some point, Alice told May that she wanted to be officially my daughter. I explained that she is my daughter and I love her with all my heart. I try to explain that Mark is her birth father and that she is both his and my daughter. With that, I gently explained that I don't think it was a good idea and I would have to think about it. She got upset and ran to her room. Mark's parents ended up leaving. May and I got into a fight. I said I don't want to erase Mark from our history. After some back and forth, she called me an asshole and walked in Alice's room. She wouldn't let me in to talk and locked me out of the room. This morning, she would not talk to me and Alice was still crying. I don't know what to do. Please help. Also, I know it will be said divorce is not an option. I plan on going over to Mark's parents later tonight. Edit. I've not talked to Mark's parents yet. I will later tonight. Also, we have never discussed this situation in the past. I thought we were in a place of understanding that I am her dad, but Mark was her father. Her birthday was on Tuesday. Not the idiot. And first of all, sorry for the loss of your friend. Your wife, I assume, gave Alice the papers to give to you as a surprise. That is very not cool of her. She should have talked to you first to see what your reaction would be. It's not your fault that you don't want to do this right now. It's a very tough decision and an important one. You would be the idiot if you rushed into making the decision and regretted it later. Not the idiot. This is a serious issue that shouldn't have been a surprise to original poster. His wife should have discussed it with him before Alice gave him the gift. The choice to adopt is personal and complicated. I imagine that original poster would come around to the idea, but maybe not. It's his sole decision, and it's not fair for everyone in the family to pressure him into it. Should he adopt his daughter? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for insisting my family pay me? Alright, so I've always assumed I've had a good relationship with my adopted parents and siblings, and haven't really had any problems with them until this. So I'm female, 20 years old, was told about my sister's birthday that was happening, and my adopted parents asked if I was going to be attending. I told them that since it was after work, I could just swing by after my shift. I asked if there was anything that I needed to bring or if there was a specific dress code for the party, as I probably wouldn't have time to change out of my work clothes. They told me there was no dress code, but asked if I would be willing to get the food for the event, especially since I work at Zaxby's and they offer party packs and everything, so I'd be able to do that and get a discount. I told them sure there wouldn't be a problem with that, but if I could get some assistance with payment, as it still would be around $600. They agreed that they'd pay me back part of the cost. So come to the night of the party, I show up and bring the food into the party, and basically for the rest of the night I get treated as a caterer instead of party guest. Even by my parents and my sister, which frankly made me slightly irritated as I didn't really get to enjoy the party at all. So after the party, I pulled my sister off to the side and I handed her a bill. She looked confused, as it was the full bill for everything that I had gotten. I told her that since I didn't get to enjoy the party and was delegated to working it then, I'm not going to work for free, even for family after I had expected to be a guest. I didn't even get to have any of the food. This got us into a pretty heated argument, where my sister was saying that I was ruining her birthday, and that it was an idiot move to charge for the entire bill, after I had agreed to bring food for the party. I said that it was an idiot move to treat me as if I was working the party and that the bill stands. The argument continued on for a little bit before I left after telling her that I better get payment. But now I'm wondering if it was a little harsh, and if I am being an asshole. Edit. Since it seems to be a common question of why I went to my sister, let me explain that my parents had left earlier than when the party ended, and I didn't realize at the time. I felt comfortable giving my sister the bill because she also treated me as a caterer and not a guest. I don't think that it can be an excuse if I'm an asshole or not, but since people keep asking, I'll give an answer. You're the idiot. You state your parents asked you to bring the food, which means you should have brought up the matter of payment with them, not your sister. I understand you felt like you were treated as an employee, and that sounds like maybe it was true, but the time to bring that up was in the moment, not after the party was over. Not the idiot. But you should have directed all that towards your parents, not the sister. Regardless if you were treated like a caterer, you better charge them for the full amount. You didn't enjoy the party, you didn't eat, and were treated poorly. They need to compensate. Is she being greedy? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for screaming at my sister for keeping secrets about my kid from me? I, female 35, live with my husband 35, and our 2 children, Madison 14, Katie 11. My sister Amanda 29 also lives with us. We have an agreement. She doesn't have to pay rent, but help with groceries and watch the girls when needed or get them to or from school. Our daughter Madison is a lot of work. She skips school and sneaks out. I found vapes in her bedroom and weed pens. Amanda was very similar to Madison at this age. Our dog had gotten out a few days ago, so I was replaying our outdoor video cameras to see if he came back for the food I left out in the middle of the night. Instead, I see Amanda leaving, then pulling up again around 45 minutes later at 3 a.m. She then gets out of her car, goes around to the passenger side, and pulls out Madison, who is literally stumbling. Amanda's practically carrying her in. You could tell she was drunk. I was so mad, I went straight to Amanda's room and asked her what the hell that was. She then admitted to me that Madison had called her really drunk. She had snuck out. She then told me that Madison begged her not to tell us. I was so livid. Madison was home that day from school because she was puking. I thought she caught a bug when she was just super hungover. I started yelling that she couldn't keep things like that from us, and that Madison is 14 and we should have been notified immediately. I told her she betrayed my trust. Amanda just quietly apologized. I left the room, and a few minutes later, I could hear her crying. Madison is now grounded and refuses to talk to Amanda for ratting her out, and Amanda has been mostly in her room. My husband told me earlier that Amanda was talking to him about how guilty she feels for upsetting me so badly. He said she seemed really upset. I feel bad because it's days later and she's still upset, but she has to know she can't do those things. Edit. Before my sister moved in, my daughter had called me many times to pick her up in the middle of the night. She knows she can call me. I'm quiet when I pick her up. There's no yelling or arguing. But she does have consequences the next day. In this situation, she was trying to avoid her consequences the next day. You're the idiot. Your sister was put between a rock and a hard place. She had to choose between being loyal to your daughter or being loyal to you, and she rightfully chose your daughter. Your daughter is in a vulnerable place and needs an outline more than you do. You owe your sister an apology. I wonder if your sister could have told you without you having a meltdown. It seems like you are jealous of the relationship that your daughter has with your sister. You're the idiot. I understand that you were mad and upset. You were wrong in how you handled it. You could have approached your sister and asked why she didn't tell you. Then explain why you need to know. Have you put yourself in her shoes for a second? It was a tough situation for her, and she tried to prioritize your daughter's safety. Her intentions were good. Is the mom neglecting her daughter? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for not inviting my stepsister's boyfriend to my wedding? Me, 35, female, and my stepsister, 32, female, aren't particularly close. I met her as a teen, and we just never had a sister bond, but I do generally have a good relationship with her. That said, there's also been some issues in the past with her being jealous of me. Me and my fiancé also don't get along particularly well with her BF. We had a limited capacity for the wedding venue, so me and my fiancé decided to limit plus ones. Married and engaged couples get invited by name. Otherwise, no plus ones. The only exception to this is my fiance's brother, they're very close, who's been with his BAF for 11 years. Most of our guests who aren't married or engaged are not in long-term relationships anyway, and they've been understanding. S is invited but no plus one. I told her beforehand the rule we had. She argued, saying she should also be allowed to bring her BAF, and used my fiance's brother as an example, but I replied that they're closer than us, and we don't have problems with his BF. Essence got really pissed, and I'm apparently devaluing her relationship. I think she should respect our decision, and if she thinks this is devaluing her relationship, I don't think there was much of one to begin with, and she's jealous of mine. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. Maybe you could justify it if you were strict with the only engaged/marrieds, but you made it personal when you made an exception for your fiance's brother. This is a super petty way to make it clear that you don't like her boyfriend. Not only would I skip your wedding if I was stepsis, I'd want nothing to do with you going forward. So congrats on making family gatherings and events awkward for years to come. Not the idiot. I don't think people are looking at where original poster says they explicitly do not like her boyfriend. If the couple doesn't like you, why would you be invited to their wedding? Your spouse or partner is not entitled to be invited to anyone's wedding, especially if they don't like them. Am I the idiot for making my pregnant wife cry by calling her less of a person? This all boils down to my wife's father. I have a 6-year-old son that started living with me as his primary guardian when he was 3 and his mom went back to school. I met my wife through work, and I also met her father, who worked at the same company in a higher role than both of us. My wife knew I had a son, but I said I wouldn't introduce them unless we became a serious couple, because that wouldn't be fair to him. When my wife did meet my son, they got along really well. I invited her and her father over for dinner one night, and her father met my son for the first time. He was weird and awkward around my son and made strange comments about his appearance. His mom is black. I confronted him after the dinner, and he made some pretty pathetic excuses. After that, I asked him to not contact me outside of work matters and asked her for space. A couple weeks later, my wife told me she had completely cut her father off for his beliefs. Our relationship became stronger than ever. When we got engaged, she said she didn't want her father at the wedding. We ended up both transferring to other companies. As far as I knew, he was gone from both of our lives for good. My wife is pregnant and due in a month. She has already started maternity leave and has been looking for a new job to start after maternity leave because she doesn't want to stay at her current company. Yesterday, she sat me down and told me her dad got her an interview for a job at our old company. She also told me she has been talking to him for a couple months and wants to know how I would feel about him knowing our future child. I told her the truth. I told her I felt betrayed, and I felt like she betrayed my son, who she claimed to think of as her son as well. I told her that she would even ask me, which makes her less of a person in my eyes. She started crying and asked me what kind of insensitive jerk would call the woman pregnant with his kid less of a person. I told her that was how I felt, and although the language was harsh, I felt it matched what she was asking for. After cooling off, I'm now unsure if my word choice was warranted and wondering if I was an idiot for speaking to her that way while she is pregnant and more emotionally vulnerable. I could have just said I wasn't okay with what she was proposing without insulting her character. You're the idiot. It's one thing to not feel comfortable about the situation with her father, but you devolved into insults. I can't help but wonder if you care at all about her feelings. She could have her father for you, but it sounds like that didn't actually sit well with her. Her talking to her father and maybe wanting him to be a part of his grandchild's life doesn't undo everything. You both can still agree to boundaries. It takes both of you working together. You're the idiot. Your wife reacted and had you and your sons back the second her father acted wrong. She changed jobs. She didn't invite him to her wedding. She was extremely loyal. It also sounds like she does not have a lot of family. Yes, you should not directly insult her and act like she did something horrible by only talking to her own father. This is not a betrayal to you. Is he overreacting? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for putting one big condition if I lend my sister money for buying a house? I am a 38-year-old male, and I have a 36-year-old sister who is female. We're pretty close and love each other to bits. She has 2 kids with a man who didn't want any. Both times she got pregnant, he told her that if she didn't abort, he would leave her. He has stepped up and has taken responsibilities though. But whenever things go south, he accuses her of making his life miserable, and that he didn't want any of it. That's her background. I've been able to save some money, and when I saw houses prices going down where they lived in a flat that had a very good price and was perfect for a family of 4, I told her I would give her all my savings, so adding her own savings, she could have enough money to ask for a mortgage. I had just one condition. The house has to be in her name. I wanted to help provide stability to my niece and nephew, so if they, my sister and Beth, break up, there would be no doubts about the house ownership, since she would be the one who would keep the kids. I've had very bad experiences with shared mortgage from friends and familiars, with a lot of problems and hate in the process, so I didn't want any of it for my sister nor her kids. How I see things, everything's going to be for the kids at the end, so we'll be providing for them. Here comes the tricky part. Even if the monthly mortgage is less than what they're paying for rent at the moment, she won't be able to pay all of it. Plus the shared costs of living in 2 kids with her salary, so he would have to pay something here for living there. Here's when things went very wrong. He said if he had to pay for part of the house, he had to get part of the house, and what we were asking from him was unfair, and I was being an asshole because it meant I didn't trust their relationship. I said he was odd to pay a total stranger for the rent, but not her girlfriend, and that it wasn't me the one who has to have faith in them, but themselves. If he really thought they were good together, he shouldn't be worried about having a house because he would be living with his family and saving money for himself. My sister is kinda sad because they are now fighting, and some of her friends agree with her boyfriend's opinion. I feel like an asshole for putting her in this predicament, even if my intentions were good. I'm not rich, I have a family too with 2 small kids, so those savings were very important to me too. I think I'm the off for stepping in on how they do things, but not for my request. Am I? Edit. I've read all your opinions and yeah, I've been quite naive about the whole scene and created a new problem when there were enough already. I'm going to apologize to him so at least my sister is not taking the brunt of it. I should apologize to her too. I'm going to look into buying a house for myself as some of you have suggested, so I'll be making good use of the money, and if something happens we can provide for my sister and her kids. Not the idiot. But why on earth are you just giving away all of your life savings, get your own place, and have the kids over often? You don't get to control their relationship, with money or not. You're the idiot. If he's paying for the house, he obviously should own it. And I think it would be really weird to pay a boyfriend or girlfriend for the privilege of living with them. People in serious relationships tend to share things. That's part of the whole point. You may not like the relationship that they're in, but they're in it. Should he give them the money? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for refusing to come with my family on vacation if my boyfriend isn't invited? My female 29 family has always shown favoritism towards my younger sister and brother's partners. They treat them like family but don't hide their dislike of the partners I've had. Recently, my family have been planning a trip to Korea this summer. We will be visiting my grandmother's hometown as well as visiting other areas. The problem comes with the fact that both my sisters, female 22, boyfriend, female 23, and my brothers, male 26, boyfriend, male 24, have been invited to join us. However, they haven't extended that invitation to my boyfriend, who is 29 years old. When I brought this up, my mother told me it's because he's not a long-term partner, which I call bullshit on. Yes, my siblings have been with their partners longer, sister 4 years, brother 5 years, but I've still been with my buff for just over a year. Personally, I think it's a race thing. My sister's of is also Korean and my brother's of is Thai, while my of is white. My family denies this and my grandmother says it's because he's disrespectful. The thing is he isn't. Me and my siblings are all second-generation immigrants, and I just never took much interest in Korean culture. They, however, became obsessed with it at a young age. I just didn't engage much. Since it's not that important to me, I never told my about any customs or what is and isn't appropriate to them. He's kinda nice to them. It's just that he's not Korean or even Asian. I kept pushing to bring him, and I kept being told no. So I said that if he isn't coming, then I'm not either, which very much hurt my family. Family is important to them. I've had some time to cool off, and I feel bad for hurting my family, but I'm proud of myself for standing my ground. But I'm conflicted, so am I the idiot? You're the idiot, because you brought your boyfriend into a family situation he wasn't prepared for. You admit that Korean culture is not important to you, but that it is important to your family. You know there are cultural customs your boyfriend would not know he was expected to follow. You did not prepare or warn him, so he walks into family events blind, and while he may very well be acting respectful based on his own customs, he is acting disrespectfully to your family based on theirs. Not the idiot. If you're serious about your boyfriend, you need to set the precedent that you will not stand for excluding him now. If you know in your gut the excuse is bullshit, they will just keep coming up with more. You are not preventing them from going, you're just choosing to not go on a trip your partner is being excluded from. I wouldn't want to be on a trip where my partner was the only one left out either. Is she asking for too much? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for canceling my son's birthday party because my mother-in-law left poop on my toothbrush? My mother-in-law watches my 3 kids. They are aged 5, 3, and 7 months. My mother-in-law usually watches them and drops them off from school. The kids are battling a stomach virus, so everyone was home on Monday. The little one had a poop explosion, so my mother-in-law washed her butt in our bathroom sink. However, she did not clean up after, and there was poop all around the sink, on the toothpaste, on the toothbrushes, and the little cups that the kids use when brushing their teeth. I have pictures if you guys really want to see. This has happened before, but it's the first time we said anything. When my wife called her mom to be more careful, because it's absolutely disgusting and gross. My wife is Hispanic, so her tone can definitely be aggressive, especially to a gringo like myself, but her mom seemed to understand the frustration. However, once her sisters, both in their 30s and single for good reason, caught wind that my wife belittled their mother, all hell broke loose. The sisters began defending the mother, calling out how dirty/messy our house is, calling my wife fat, and basically just saying how lucky we are to have the mother-in-law in our life and it's no big deal. In fact, we're the a-holes for being upset about this. I guess the sisters got to my mother-in-law, because then mother-in-law came back and started parroting the same talking points about how messy our house is, how ungrateful my wife is, and how my mother-in-law cleans our house and cooks for the kids all of the time. My 5-year-old son was also at her house this weekend and had an accident where he Hershey squirted on the bed because he's sick. That was also thrown in our face multiple times. They also referred to watching our kids as favors, which is weird, because they always ask to take them. My mother-in-law says she won't come ever again to watch the kids. She did not show today, so I had to call out today to watch the baby, which is fine. However, I don't like how the mother-in-law is affecting my job and career with her pettiness, as I had some important stuff scheduled today. Keep in mind, we pay her $300 cash a week to watch the kids. Now I'm going to pay about $150 more per month for someone to watch the kids, which is no big deal really. However, my son's birthday is tomorrow. They had a big old party planned at my mother-in-law's for Saturday. However, I have told everyone that we will not be attending the party, and we have barred her family from seeing, giving gifts, or even speaking to the kids for the time being. Am I the idiot for canceling my son's party and not allowing my wife's family to celebrate his birthday on Saturday? You're the idiot. Have you ever taken care of your children by yourself when they were sick? You don't seem to have a clue how chaotic that can be. Your baby, with a virus your other kids are suffering from too, has a norovirus diarrhea explosion in their diaper. You're saint of a mother-in-law who's taking care of this one, plus 2 more who are also exploding from butt and mouth, sticks the baby's butt in the sink, and cleans that child while also caring for 2 other sick children. A job that she lovingly does for $300. $300, not enough to live anywhere. Not the idiot. These people are acting very abusive. No need to subject your children to that drama. Also, time to set boundaries, because if they are being nasty to your wife for this, who knows where they will stop. Is he treating his mother-in-law unfairly? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for moving my daughter out of her room and onto the loft area to make room for my sister? I, female 34, have 3 kids under 5 years old. We live in a 3-bed, 2.5-bath condo, and we have my sons in one room and my daughter in another. We also have a loft area with 2.5 walls. One side has a wall maybe 3.5 or 4 feet tall, and another side is open. I have a half-sister 12 that needed a place to stay. She was in an emergency foster home, and either my husband and I had to take her in or she had to go to a foster home. We never met her. I didn't even know she existed, but I didn't want her to end up in foster care, so we took her in. My husband wanted her to share a room with our daughter, but I thought living with strangers is hard enough for her, and she'll need her own space. We ended up moving our daughter into our son's room, but that didn't work out well. Our daughter can't sleep without a sound machine and night light, and the boys can't sleep with them. They also have different bedtimes, and putting the boys to bed always wakes her up. My husband wanted to put her back in her old room, but I didn't think that would be a good situation for either of the girls. I ended up moving her bed into the loft, and her clothes/changing table are in my room. The half wall is too high for her to climb. Her toys were already there, and we can put a divider or curtain there if this becomes a long-term thing. My husband came home and saw this and was furious that I moved our daughter into the loft instead of letting her share a room with my half-sister. That was around 3 weeks ago. My daughter is fine in the loft. I painted it for her, got some princess wall decals, and organized the toys to leave more room for her bed and everything else I brought from her room. To say my sister isn't adjusting well is an understatement. She's tried to run away twice, and she had a breakdown and destroyed everything in her room last week. My husband has mentioned calling the social worker and sending her to a foster home since she got here. The past few days have been better. I haven't had to pick her up early from school at all this week. She's leaving her room for meals, and she's starting to talk to me. My husband still thinks this isn't working out. He's refusing to let our daughter stay in the loft and says that my sister shouldn't be around the kids. I told him if he sends her to a foster home after she's just starting to feel comfortable here, the kids and I are leaving. We've been arguing again because he wants to send her to a home, and he actually said part of the reason is because he wants to get our daughter back into her room. He got his family calling me a bad mom for prioritizing some random girl over my kids. Am I the idiot for putting my daughter in the loft to make room for my sister and not sending her to a foster home? Not the idiot. A lot of people may not understand how the room looks. Sounds like it's already a play area. If your daughter is fine giving up her room and it's truly safe, should be no issues. Kind of an idiot for an ultimatum though, and overstepping your husband's feelings. But sometimes being an asshole is required in life. Actions have consequences, and you're forcing an unexpected dynamic with unexpected outcomes. You're the idiot. This affects your whole family, and it sounds like you made the decision a little lightly and without talking to your husband about it. Her presence and behavior will affect your kids. She is essentially a stranger to everyone, and you have small children. That makes me super uncomfortable. She sounds like she needs way more emotional and behavioral support than typical.